He effed around, and he found out.
In the past few days, the world's attention has once again turned to Venezuela and the United States. What began as political tension has now escalated into one of the most talked about international crises of the year.
But I knew it was great to hate you. You got off a helicopter, the helicopters were being shot at.
Governments are reacting, markets are watching, and millions of people are asking the same question. What is really happening between the US and Venezuela? And why does it matter to the world? Today we break it down, clearly, calmly, and without exaggeration. Venezuela and the US. To understand what's happening now, we need to look back. For more than 2 decades, relations between the United States and Venezuela have been tense. The conflict intensified after Hugo Chavez came to power in 1999, pushing Venezuela toward a socialist government that openly opposed US influence. After Chavez's death, Nicolas Maduro became president, but his leadership has been widely disputed. The United States, along with many Western and Latin American countries, accused Maduro's government of election manipulation, human rights violations, corruption and drug trafficking, economic mismanagement. Because of this, the U.S. imposed heavy sanctions on Venezuela.
He effed around, and he found out.
Targeting its oil industry, government officials, and financial systems. These sanctions severely weakened Venezuela's economy, leading to hyperinflation, food and medicine shortages, mass migration, with millions of Venezuelans fleeing the country. Why tensions escalated?
On X, quote, "The pretext used to justify these actions are untenable."
So why is this happening now? According to recent reports, U.S. officials claim that Venezuela has increased cooperation with hostile foreign powers, continued illegal oil operations, failed to comply with international agreements, and allegedly allowed criminal networks to operate freely. The U.S. government says these actions pose a regional security threat, especially to neighboring countries and international trade routes. In response, Washington announced stronger measures.
He effed around, and he found out.
Including military readiness and expanded operations aimed at what it calls strategic targets. This announcement alone sent shockwaves across global media. Reports of U.S. military action. Over the past week, multiple international news agencies reported U.S. military activity connected to Venezuela. These reports mention precision strikes on selected sites, intelligence-based operations, and high-level actions aimed at weakening Venezuela's leadership structure. The U.S. government stated that its actions were limited, targeted, and designed to protect regional stability. However, Venezuela's government strongly denied U.S. claims and described the situation as an act of aggression and a violation of national sovereignty. It's important to note, many details remain classified or disputed, and information is still evolving. In response, Venezuelan authorities declared a national emergency, increased military readiness, restricted airspace in certain areas, and accused the U.S. of attempting to control Venezuela's oil resources. State media in Venezuela called on citizens to remain calm but vigilant, while blaming the U.S. for worsening the country's humanitarian crisis. Meanwhile, Venezuelan civilians reported power outages, internet disruptions, and rising fear of broader conflict. For ordinary people, the biggest concern is survival, not politics. The international response has been deeply divided. Some countries condemn the U.S. actions, saying they violate international law and the UN Charter.
We have seen an unprecedented deployment of forces against the Republic.
Others argued that the U.S. is acting to stop instability, crime, and authoritarian rule. China and Russia expressed serious concern and warned against escalation. Several Latin American countries called for dialogue instead of force. European leaders urged restraint and humanitarian protection. The United Nations requested immediate de-escalation and protection of civilians. One major reason the world is watching closely is oil. Venezuela holds one of the largest oil reserves on Earth. Any disruption affects global oil prices, fuel costs, inflation, and energy security, especially in Europe and the US. Following the news, oil prices showed volatility. Energy markets reacted cautiously. Investors shifted towards safer assets. This shows how a conflict in one country can impact the entire global economy. About risk of escalation. Experts warn that the situation could go in three possible directions. First, diplomatic talks resume, leading to de-escalation and negotiations. Second, limited actions continue without full-scale conflict. Third, the crisis expands, drawing in other nations and destabilizing the region. So far, world leaders are urging the first option. About human cost, behind all the politics and headlines are real people. Venezuelan families already struggling with food shortages, medical crises, and economic collapse. Any escalation makes life harder. Humanitarian organizations warn that further conflict could increase migration, worsen poverty, and deepen an already severe humanitarian crisis. Why this matters to you? Why should someone in Europe, the UK, or the US care? Because this crisis affects fuel prices, global security, migration patterns, international law, and future U.S. foreign policy. What happens in Venezuela does not stay in Venezuela. As of now, the situation between the United States and Venezuela remains tense but fluid. Facts are still emerging, statements continue to evolve, and the world is watching closely. History shows us that conflicts like this can change direction quickly, for better or for worse. The hope shared by many is simple: dialogue over destruction, stability over chaos, and peace over power. Thank you for listening. Stay informed. Thank you.
It's a very dangerous operation. It was amazing that we had a few injured, but all are in good shape right now.
So, dito tayo sa car park. Ayan o, yung castle. Doon. Kung papasokin tayo. Ganda ng view.